you see, like we've got like 989 subscribers, right?
I know, it's close to 1,000.
I know,
it's been a long way, mate.
So if you're interested in knowing a bit more about AATV and our background, or if you just want any sort of question answered, we're going to do a Q&A show for the 1,000 subscriber special. So if you want to comment down below and
tell us what your favourite episodes were. What did you want to see more of in those episodes? Is there anything that we didn't really explain well that you left you scratching your head and going like, how on earth did they come to that conclusion? You could drop us a line and we'll do our best to answer those questions.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. But for this week's episode, we're going to talk about patches. In particular, we're going to talk about Ballistic Designs, because they've just done our fantastic new 30 OBU patch. But also, then we'll go on to patches in general.
Yeah. I mean, the great thing is, we... with Airsoft Action TV, and when Tom and I first started going out on the road and visiting people, we sort of formed a small team of the cameramen, the reporters, myself, Tom, and some good friends of ours within the airsoft industry. And we called it jokingly the outside broadcast unit.
Indeed.
And because Tom and I both have house numbers of 30 by coincidence, we called it 30 OBU, and we thought it looked vaguely Soviet. And
so we made a vaguely Soviet patch. And because it was vaguely Soviet, we also thought the classic 80s film Red Dawn would be a great inspiration. And in there, the football team is called the Wolverines.
Which you can read about in Bill Price Thomas's article in this month's Soft Action
Amazing link.
Yeah, link.
So our patch is the 30 OBU, Wolverines, and then we have AATV on the bottom. So this is pretty much our crew patch. We may well do a subscriber patch in the future. But if you see one of these out and about, that means the person wearing it
has been doing some work for you.
Doing some work on AATV. They may have been, Gadge says, they may have been driving a car or holding a camera or feeding us nice food or have come into the studio for a chat. But these were done by a fantastic company called Ballistic Designs in the UK. So you got in touch with a guy called Dan.
And we said, Dan, like, what's the odds of if we show people how these patches are made, and I know you do them in custom runs, what's the odds of getting one done? And he got back to us and we said, look, we kind of want it to look like this. And Tom, I think you came up with a good origination.
I did. So I fired up, I've got a bit of background in graphic design. So I fired up Illustrator and knocked this patch up for Dan.
And we had a few designs we started off using the college football colour teams of blue and yellow, and it didn't really pop, and it didn't.
But I may use that for the subscriber patches because that looked.
But we wanted something. With us both being AK fans, as you've seen, we wanted something looking a little bit more Russian. So, but also, even though it's not really, if you read Cyrillic, that would be gibberish.
This really winds Gadge up actually, because I've used one of those Russian fonts where the letters are backwards, which drives him mad because that's absolute nonsense. Because he can vaguely read Russian. But I thought it looked great. Dan was really helpful. So there's a few things. So Dan.
The rubberised patches, you might not be able to tell that.
Yeah, so sort of rubberised PVC patches.
As opposed to fabric patches that traditionally people have gone for in the past.
Yeah, it's 3D, so I'll show you several close-ups. Dan really helped us out with kind of the guidelines about what to do, and he can pretty much do anything. So if you want to literally the old back of a fag paper sketch and send it off to him, he's got designers and engineers over there that will turn your rough sketch into something a bit more realistic.
Know patches are something, you've never really been that much of a collector. You're amassing a collection now, souvenir patches.
It's a bit bizarre, isn't it? Because I'm not really into patches that much, but it just seems to just sort of happen as I've gone along. And half of these are things that people have sent me.
I like patches as souvenir patches. So as some of you may have known, I've basically started working for Action Sport Games. And with Action Sport Games, we have our Blaster Tour, and they're a souvenir. If you've been on the Blaster Tour, you get one of these.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised at how many players I see out on site who've got Blaster Tour patches. And weirdly, and obviously good for Action Sport Games, good for any other company, people want to wear your advert.
Well, it's a bit like an Airsoft business card, isn't it?
Yeah, it's replaced the business card, I think, in a way.
So a lot of people have massive patch walls. So a lot of these PVC ones are made kind of in the same way. Oh, I just dropped it there. So what they do is they create a negative mould, and I'll show you some video in a second. So they create a 3D file from your drawing. They create a negative mould out of that, and then into that they actually squeeze PVC. So traditionally it's been one of those things they do in the Far East, but what's been happening more and more over now is small British manufacturers are able to do it and produce.
That's good to see people producing closer to home, faster return times.
Exactly, and produce real high quality small run stuff. So give Dan a shout. These are brilliant. We're really pleased with these, aren't we?
Yeah, they're lovely. And of course, the colour tones we went for, they kind of fit with everything. There's a bit of black in there, a bit of green, a bit of a sandy kind of yellow. So
yeah, a bit of Russian red.
Yeah, so like I found that like when we go on team days, they fit whatever kit we're wearing. Right?
They do go really well. And they have a huge variety of colours they can use, so don't worry about them. I'm sure if you talk to Dan, you have to talk to Ballistic Designs on pricing and colours, but they'll be able to pretty much sort out exactly
really
what you want.
is the fact I thought we'd have to have like 10,000 made or something crazy like that. And in the past, having custom patches, because of the tooling processes involved,
certainly these moulded ones.
Yeah, moulded ones. You would be looking at large runs, but now, like you say, because more people can do it, with the technology is becoming cheaper.
Yeah,
it's becoming easier. If you've got a team, you can have 20 or 30 made up and it won't break the bank.
Yeah.
And you give each team member 3. You know, to be honest, you're not going to get one of those unless you work with us. But for a team, or for example, when Tom and I went to the Pilgrim Bandits game, each side had their own commemorative patch that we sometimes wear on our kit as well. So the Pilgrims had one, the Bandits had one, and you can use them as a fundraiser. You can say, look, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. So Pew Pew at the moment are doing they've got a charity patch out for Pilgrim Bandits again, so they're doing that. I think they're great. Traditionally, it was more of this kind of stitched thing, because these you could order in a one-off because they can run them through an embroidery machine.
I mean, even before that, you had to stitch them on yourself with no Velcro backing. If you look at the old Russian style and old NATO style insignia.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I mean, they've always been really, really useful sort of things to have. And I think the great thing about morale patches, especially these sort of ones, is you can tailor how you look on that day to what you want to do. If you want to look really comedy and have some sort of like comedic slogan on there or a Deadpool image, you can do it. If you want to be all military, you swap it out for your B- and your national flags.
So it's my hat. So actually, I say I don't like patches. Gadge is going to laugh. So so I've got my national flag. This is actually my blood group. I give blood. I've seen some guys with blood patches on who don't actually know what they're. It's probably not the best idea in the world. I mean, generally, by the time you ever got to a place where they've been giving you blood,
your helmet off,
your helmet would be long gone. But still, if you're going to wear a blood patch, it's probably worth having a blood patch on. And then actually, I do have some silly patches on this one as well. I
mean, I know as well. So in the past, I've had the odd patch with the odd profanity on it. And if I'm doing a game where it's just me going to play Airsoft as Gadge for a day out, they stay on there. But if I'm doing something work-wise, something safer goes on, because you've got to be aware of the message you're putting out via those patches.
It is a bit. You see some quite outrageous messages. So I think what we're saying is, I mean, there's a huge variety of manufacturers in the UK. But if you want team patches,
Ballistic Designs, go to those guys. They're great. They're accessible. They're easy to work with, and you can have a small run done.
You can have a few guidelines. Don't put details in any smaller than about 1 millimetre.
Yeah, you just get lost.
Yeah, try and put with basically the CNC mills can't cut it. Try and put a bit of space in between the elements, so there's a bit of space for the stuff to be pouring on.
They can do a lot of colours, but you want to stick to 2 or 3, really, don't you?
Yeah, don't go completely wild. But again, they've got designers, they've got engineers, so they'll be able to help you out. So yeah, Ballistic Designs. Thanks, guys. We love these. So, do you wear a patch? What sort of patches do you wear?
What's the funniest patch you've seen on someone's kit, or the coolest patch you've seen? I don't know if you can put a picture in a YouTube comment.
I don't think you can. We can put a link in.
Yeah, link us to it, and we'll revisit patches in a future episode.
And don't forget to leave us your questions for our Q&A session. I've been Tom Anvil Hibberd.
And I'm Gareth Gadge Harvey.
And we'll see you next time.